Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Hard Count podcast. And today we have a very special guest in Into Sports. Welcome to the podcast, Evan.
Yep, thank you. Excited to make my picks and dominate you in this contest.
We'll see about that, but we're going to be making our Week 7 picks. And we're going to be starting with our Thursday night game. The Giants go to Philadelphia and play the Eagles. And I'm going to be giving you my pick first. The Eagles are going to win 27-20. I think this is a pivotal game for the Eagles. If they don't win this one, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. I think it's a must win for them. They're 1-4-1. It's kind of funny because their division is awful, so they're still in the running for it. And I think that this team, the Eagles, should be the team that wins that division. I know the Cowboys and Eagles are in a close race, but I like the Eagles a little bit more as a team. We saw what they can do. I like Carson Wentz quite a bit. And as they get healthy, I think this team is going to be scary, but this is a must-win game. And the Giants are not good. They're the 30th best team in the NFL, in my opinion. Their defense, I'm not buying into it quite yet. It's not been bad these past couple weeks. I'm not buying into it quite yet, though. The offense has really struggled. One of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, which could be an issue against this defensive line of the Eagles that is pretty solid. So I like the Eagles to win here in a must-win game for them for the rest of their season over a very bad Giants team. Evan, you want to give us your pick?
Well, Spencer, we had very similar, almost identical quarterback rankings in the offseason, and we have an identical score here. I like the Eagles 27-20. Let's give some appreciation to Carson Wentz. He's been really good the last 3 games after he got off to a kind of disappointing start. He has nobody to throw to. Travis Fulgham is their number 1 receiver. Zach Ertz is injured, and he was washed anyway. Miles Sanders is injured. He will miss this game. But this Eagles offense has found a way to score 57 points in the last 2 weeks versus the Steelers defense and the Ravens defense. I don't know how Carson Wentz does it, but he's doing it. And this Giants team, I expected them to be a lot better offensively in this offseason. Daniel Jones with some decent receivers, but this offense has been really bad. Eagles win on Thursday night at home.
Okay, well, we start off there agreeing 100%. I like your points there. So, Evan, you want to give us your pick for the next game where the Lions go to Atlanta and play the Falcons?
Yeah, I have a funny feeling we might have the same score again right here. I'll take the Lions to beat the Falcons 30-27 on the road. I think these are 2 good quarterbacks in that, top 10 area with Stafford and Matt Ryan. I think Stafford's a little bit better, but these are 2 bad defenses as well. That's why I'm picking 57 total points scored in this game. This is in a dome in Atlanta. Matt Ryan, one of his best games of the season last week, well, it was in a dome. His worst game of the season versus the Packers, that was outside in Lambeau. So I think the dome benefits Matt Ryan. But we saw an emergence of DeAndre Swift. Somehow the Lions are not giving the ball to Kerryon Johnson. But they are giving the ball to Kenny Golladay. He had a big game. I expect some big plays down the field against a bad Falcons secondary.
Okay. Well, not quite the same score, but similar range. I've got the Lions winning 28-26. The Falcons are 2-point favorites in this one. I disagree. I think the Lions will win and cover that spread. As you said, 2 borderline top 10 quarterbacks here in Matthew Stafford and Matt Ryan, which makes it a fun matchup. 2 teams that I don't think are very good, but I did say in yesterday's power rankings that I think the Lions are a sleeper playoff team if they can get things together, and this is a pivotal game for them if they can get back on track. And their defense, as you said, both bad defenses, but I have more faith in this Lions defense that I thought would take a little bit to get things together. They've got some new guys on that team, and I think we've kind of seen it emerge in the past couple weeks. I like it definitely better than this Falcons defense, which is awful, one of the worst in the NFL. So I like the Lions to win this game. As you said, Kenny Golladay has looked very good in the past couple weeks. So I like the Lions to win here by 2 points against the Falcons, 28-26. All right, let's move on to the next game where the Browns go to Cincinnati and play the Bengals, and I'm going to be giving you my pick first this time. The Browns are going to win here 30-24, and I was ripping on the Browns yesterday in my power rankings. I said that they need to consider benching Baker Mayfield, but what I did say is that the Browns crush bad teams. They feast on bad teams. The Bengals are a bad team. It's going to be another one of those games. I wouldn't be surprised if this game was even more out of hand. Now, I do like Joe Burrow as a quarterback quite a bit. The defense has some bright spots on it for the Bengals, but this Browns team is a better team overall than the Bengals. And so I like the Browns to come out here and do what they do best, beat bad teams. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was a very high-scoring game, as we've seen the Browns score a lot on bad defenses. So I like the Browns to win here 30-24. Baker has a decent game against a bad defense. And yeah, that's what I would say about that game.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head there. Browns really struggle versus any kind of good opponent, but they dominate the weaklings of the NFL. I'll take the Browns to win here 27-23. We saw this matchup in week 2, Browns-Bengals. And the Browns averaged 7.5 yards per play. Now, for reference, the league average is about 5.5. So the Browns really dominated that game, but Joe Burrow kept it close, throwing the ball underneath, throwing the ball, I believe, 60 times in that game. I expect a similar tune in this one.
Yep.
Now, the Browns play that cover 3 defense that allows you to throw the ball underneath, and that's where Joe Burrow wants to throw it. So I think they can keep this close, but I think the Browns, as you mentioned, will dominate this game from a yardage perspective because they're playing a bad team. Now, Baker, we'll see if he can even be good against a bad team anymore, because what I've seen from him is frankly terrible. He's honestly might be a bottom 5 quarterback at this point, but I'll still take them to win by 4.
Yeah, okay. So we've got similar prediction there as well. 3 for 3 so far on agreements. But let's see if we agree on this game. We got arguably the game of the week, the Steelers at the Titans, 2 undefeated teams. Evan, you want to give us your pick for this very good game?
Yeah, best game of the week here. I'm going to take the Steelers to win this one on the road, 26-24. This should be a very good game. Now, my concern with the Titans, one of the reasons I'm picking them to lose, is because last week they lost Taylor Lewan for an ACL injury. He is their tackle. And we think about this Titans team last year that dominated on the ground. Jack Conklin and Taylor Lewan was their tackle duo. Now they have none of them. So they're on backups at this point. And I think that could hurt them in the run game, and especially when you face a guy like TJ Watt trying to rush the passer. Now I think the Titans play action game can kind of neutralize this Steelers pass rush that has been the best in the league so far. And it's going to be the Derrick Henry show. Now this is a great matchup because Steelers front 7 is really, really good. And Derrick Henry, we know he's really good. He kind of reminds me of a DK Metcalf. You watch him and you're like, wow, that guy's big and that's strong and he runs that fast. This isn't even fair. But I expect Derrick Henry to struggle a little bit more than he did last week when he ran all over the Texans just because of the Steelers front 7. And the Titans defense has really struggled, giving up a lot of points to the Texans last week. They only won because they won the coin toss. I'll take the Steelers by 2.
Okay, I'm going to agree with you here. I'm taking the Steelers. I'm going a little bit higher scoring. I'm going 31-30. And that's because I don't think these defenses are quite as good as, or the Steelers defense isn't quite as good as it was last year. I have some concerns about this Titans defense as well. I'm picking it to be a little bit high scoring, but I still have the Steelers winning. Good point mentioning Taylor Lewan, and I think that also could play into effect because if we know how the Titans like to utilize Derrick Henry, you would think they just want to run him up the middle, but oftentimes they like to run him outside of the tackles on runs like that, and without tackles, it's going to be really hard for him to get that space in the open field like he's used to getting. Obviously, he's a beast. He's going to have a show on the ground this week, but we'll see how the tackles impact things. And also, I like how you talked about the Steelers pass rush, getting to Ryan Tannehill. That could be a factor in this game. I like him to win. I like the Steelers to win this game by 1 point, but it's going to be very, very close. And I think this game is going to tell us a lot about both of these teams. When they, I think we were waiting on a couple of these teams to play some very good competition. I mean, we saw the Titans beat the Bills a couple weeks ago, but I want to see these two teams. One of these two teams is going to come out here undefeated, and I'm predicting it to be the Steelers. All right, next we're going to a not as good game. The Panthers at the Saints. The Saints are off a bye, and I'm taking the Saints here 30-24. Part of the reason for that is because they're off a bye, but I think people are a little bit low on the Saints right now. I like them quite a bit. Drew Brees has impressed me in the past couple of weeks compared to those first couple of weeks where he was very, very bad. They're going to get Michael Thomas back here, which is definitely worth a lot for the Saints offense, who loves to throw it underneath. And Michael Thomas is the definition of a guy that you want to be throwing to underneath. Alvin Kamara in that offense is still very good. So I expect Michael Thomas to really help out this offense, and this defense is going to get things together. It is a fun Panthers offense. I've said this multiple times, but their defense really struggles. I don't have too much confidence in this offense to really be able to put up too many points where it's going to compete with an offense like the Saints, for example. So that's why I've got the Saints here winning 30-24.
Well, this is our second exact score pick of the day. I'm also taking the Saints to win 30-24. Now, The Panthers, I wouldn't be shocked if they pulled off an upset here.
Yeah.
Because we think about last year, the Saints, they were at home, off a bye, 7+ point favorites versus a divisional opponent, the Falcons, and they lost that game. The same exact circumstances here versus divisional opponent, off a bye at home, 7+ point favorite, the Panthers. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Saints slept on the Panthers a little bit. Now, I'm expecting a better day from Teddy Bridgewater than it sounded like you are. The Saints secondary has been burnt recently. And with Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, I think Bridgewater could put up a nice day versus a struggling Saints secondary. So I'll take the Saints to win by 6.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, as you said, maybe we see the Saints overlook the Panthers a little bit. We saw it just last week with the Patriots, maybe overlooking the Broncos a little bit. We'll talk about the Patriots a little later, but maybe the Saints are looking a little bit ahead to when they play the Bears, who right now are 5-1. We don't know. I think that could play a factor, but it's still, I think the Saints are a better team overall. So yeah, I'm taking them to win by 6. We got the same score there. And yeah, all right. Evan, you want to give us your score prediction for Bills at Jets? I don't think there's going to be much of a disagreement here.
Yeah, we both know the Bills are going to roll all over the Jets on the road, 27-13. The big question about this game is, do the Jets get Sam Darnold back?
Yep.
Because I think that helps them a lot. We think about Sam Darnold. We think about how bad this Jets team is. The roster, the coaching, the management. Sam Darnold had a winning record last year as the starter with the Jets. Just think about that for a second. That's hard to believe. Now, I think that's a big advantage if Darnold comes back, especially against a struggling Bills defense. It's not been the same defense as it was last year. We came into year thinking that the offense could struggle a little bit, but the defense will bring this team to 9-10 wins. It's been the complete opposite. And we've seen a little bit of a struggle last 2 weeks for Josh Allen. It wasn't as nice, it wasn't as easy as it was the first few weeks, but I expect a big bounce back game, especially throwing the ball down the field. Teams have kind of played a softer zone versus Allen, forcing him to throw underneath. The Jets can do whatever they want, but they're not stopping Stephon Diggs from receiving the ball from Josh Allen 50 yards down the field. Bills will light him up 27-13.
Okay, yeah, I think we agree on this one. I mean, I'm taking your score, bumping both teams up by 1 point. I've got the Bills winning 28-14, so pretty close score there. But as you said, Sam Darnold, very valuable to this Jets offense. Crazy that he had a winning record last year with this awful supporting cast in that as the starter in that Jets offense. But as you said, Josh Allen's going to have a bounce back game. As I said this a couple times with some other teams, the Jets are a team that you want to beat. They can help you get your momentum back. The Bills have lost 2 in a row. This is kind of a bounce back game for them. It's going to be able to get them on that upward path once again. And as you said, Josh Allen hasn't looked as good as he did for those first 4 weeks of the season in the past couple weeks, but that's okay. He still made some massive improvements, and I think those are going to show this week against the Jets. As you said, the Jets defense is not stopping Stephon Diggs and the rest of that offense whatsoever. I think the Bills are going to have a field day against the Jets. They're going to win 28-14. All right. Next game is Dallas Cowboys at Washington Football Team. And if you told me at the start of the season that this was going to be a remotely close game, I would have told you were crazy, because Cowboys are the 28th best team in the league and Washington is the 31st best team in the NFL. and I'm picking the Cowboys to win 19-17 in Washington. And it was ugly what we saw from the Cowboys losing 38-10 against the Arizona Cardinals. But the Washington football team was just as ugly, losing to the Giants. So I like the Cowboys here. I think Andy Dalton kind of has a little bit of a bounce back week. I think it's going to be a very, very ugly matchup. I would not be surprised if Washington won this game. But I think Andy Dalton kind of bounces back somewhat. I mean, it's just the talent on this Cowboys team is much better than on this Washington team. And, you know, the defense for the Cowboys is bad, but Washington hasn't been able to move the ball against anyone this year. So I like the Cowboys to win here, 19-17 in a very low-scoring game. And I'm just picking the Cowboys. They've got a more talented roster. I have a little more faith in them than Washington.
Yeah, even today, you mentioned looking at this game from the point of the offseason. I even just look at this game on the as it is right now, and I'm like, wow, Cowboys, they'll win by 10, win by 14.
Yep.
But then I have to rethink it because the Cowboys are just unfathomably bad. I can't explain it. Andy Dalton was not good last week at all. He was under pressure frequently. There was some drop passes by this Cowboys receiving core. Now, I think this could be a tough matchup for the Cowboys from the perspective that this offensive line is really injured. Last few years, we know Cowboys have had great offensive line, but all those pieces are injured. They're out. And this is a great Washington front seven with Chase Young. There's a ton of first-round draft picks in that front seven. So I think Washington could pressure Dalton like the Cardinals did on Monday night. But I can't pick Washington. Kyle Allen, it's just been terrible. These two teams are just dumpster fires. Embarrassing.
Yes. It's going to be a stink fest for sure. So, okay, now let's move on to a game that not as much of a stink fest. We got some good offenses here. The Packers are going to Houston to play the Texans. Evan, you want to give us your pick for this one?
Yup, I'm happy I get to go first because I get to talk about the greatest quarterback of all time, Aaron Rodgers. And he's going to get some revenge in this game. Packers will win 30-24 over the Texans. We all saw it. It was the biggest game of the week. Yeah, Packers had a bad game. The Bucs got a ton of pressure on Rodgers. There was nothing there to be had. I don't really blame Rodgers too much for that game. You know, he threw a pick six. The other pick was tipped. Whatever. But his fire is going to be fueled in this game after that embarrassing loss. Let's give some appreciation as well to the Packers corner, Jair Alexander. He has shut down everyone he's played this year, including Mike Evans last week. I don't even think I heard his name called in the broadcast in that game. So he's going to probably take away a guy like Will Fuller, but Deshaun Watson will still find ways to throw the ball down the field with his touch and accuracy, extend plays to score 24 points on this Packers defense. But give me Rodgers off an embarrassing loss to get some revenge.
I like that pick. I know your favorite guy, Aaron Rodgers, favorite quarterback in the NFL. I'm picking the Packers here to win too. We got the same point differential in 6 points, but I'm bumping both teams up 3. I got the Packers winning 33-27, very high-scoring game. I'm not a fan of either of these defenses, and they're both very good offenses. And as you said, this Packers offense is very, very good. And I think Devontae Adams is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. I think he might struggle a little bit more when there's a very good number one corner on the opposite side of him. But the Texans do not have that. So I think that we're going to see Devontae Adams really be able to get open quite a bit during this game. It's going to be a game where Aaron Rodgers has a bounce back week. As you said, this is a game that they're going to want to win. They just came off an embarrassing loss against a team that's one of the best in the NFL. So definitely a bounce back for the Packers here, and I agree with you. Give some respect to this Texans offense. Deshaun Watson played great, and it's more of what I expected going into the year. A team that's able to move the ball down the field with big plays, with its weapons and Will Fuller, Brandon Cooks, and as you said, Jair Alexander is going to take away one of those guys. I like this Packers offense more than I like this Texans offense for sure. So yeah, give me the Packers here, 33-27. And next, we've got the Seahawks at the Cardinals, and this is my upset of the week. I'm taking the Cardinals 27-26. And
wow.
I know the Seahawks are off a bye, but The Cardinals, I told you guys I was buying my stock on the Cardinals, and I'm going all in this game. I really like this team as a whole. The defense has impressed me. I think they're going to be able to get pressure on Russell Wilson. It's Russell Wilson. He's going to make plays regardless. I think it's going to be 26-27. But we saw some weaknesses in this Seahawks team in that game against the Vikings. If you can move the ball well against them, if you can limit them on offense, limit the big plays, which is hard to do when you got a guy like DK Metcalf. But if you can limit the big plays like that and stuff like that, you can slow down the Seahawks offense. And I like Kyler Murray to have a great game on offense here. I think he's going to run all over the Seahawks defense, which I'm not a big fan of whatsoever. I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to have a big day. It's a divisional opponent, which always makes the games a little bit more close, a little bit more intense. I think the Cardinals might catch the Seahawks a little bit off guard here, give them their first loss of the season. I know it's a big upset, but I like the Cardinals here 27-26 in a big game from Kyler Murray.
Wow. I'm not going as bold as you. I'm taking the Seahawks to win 27-23. Now, I will help your case a little bit. Cardinals have a matchup advantage. Yep. They throw the ball underneath. Cliff Kingsbury, air raid offense. And the Seahawks play that cover 3 soft zone, daring you to throw the ball underneath. Mm-hmm. And last year, late in the season, we saw the Cardinals go to Seattle and win that game by about 10 points.
Yep.
So that might have been the reason. We saw a bounce back game from Kenyon Drake last week. And DeAndre Hopkins, of course, one of the best receivers in the NFL. I expect him to have a big game against, as you mentioned, not a very good Seahawks secondary. This should be a good matchup between Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson, 2 shorter guys, baseball background, 2 of the most exciting guys to watch in the league. Extend plays with their legs, run the ball even a little bit. Murray really struggled to complete passes versus the Cowboys. They won by 20, and he had 9 completions on the game. So I expect him to be quite a bit better this week. But the Seahawks will still win the game because of Russell Wilson.
Yep. It's hard to bet against Russell Wilson, but I'm doing it here. Division opponent. I think, as you said, Kyler Murray, big bounce back week. I got the Cardinals winning by 1. We'll see. That should be a fun game. Tell us a lot about both these teams. All right. Next, we've got the Chiefs at the Broncos. I don't think this is going to be very close, but Evan, do you want to give us your pick for this one?
Well, I hate to bring it up again, but this was my preseason prediction for the AFC Championship. The Broncos, yeah. But I'm going to take the Chiefs here, 27-17. This run game for Kansas City on Monday night, they just ran the ball a ton. 46 carries against the Bills. Normally we don't see that from Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes, with the kind of weapons they have on the perimeter. But even though it's not worked out for me so far, I'm going to double down and say the Broncos could be a sneaky playoff team. If you want an outside chance to make the playoffs, I'm going to look at the Broncos because Drew Lock returned after being injured for a few weeks, and he made some great throws against New England. Most of them really didn't count. They were either dropped or penalties, whatever. But there was a lot of bad ones too. It looked like he really tried to throw that game away after the Broncos were up by multiple scores. Nearly blew it and let the Patriots come back. But the Broncos did just beat Bill Belichick off kind of a pseudo bye week. So this Broncos team, I'm telling you, watch out. Even though I've said that before and I've been completely wrong before.
Okay, well, yeah, I think we both agree. I've got the Chiefs winning 27-20. And as you said, it's going to be very interesting. Are the Chiefs going to be able to keep up that run game? Are they going to do it again? Or are they going to go back to what we know from the Chiefs, the big plays, Tyreek Hill, getting those big chunk plays with Travis Kelce? We'll see. It'll be interesting to see how this Chiefs offense operates against this Broncos defense that did a very good job against the Patriots offense last week. And as you said, Drew Lock didn't have a great game against the Patriots, but he made some very good throws, some promising throws. And as you said, the ability with Drew Lock is really there. So I like Drew Lock. I think he could have a good game in this one, but last year we saw the Chiefs really be able to dominate the Broncos. And I think it's going to keep up here. Chiefs are the best team in the league. The Broncos are one of the worst teams in the league, in my opinion. I do expect them to be trending up in my power rankings in the next few weeks. But for now, the Chiefs are the best team in the league, and the Broncos are not that. So I've got them winning by a full touchdown here. All right, now we move on to the 49ers at the Patriots. And I'm taking the Patriots to win here 24-21. This is one of the most interesting games of the week. I would say the second most interesting game of the week behind the Steelers at the Titans. And I'm taking the Patriots to win here. We just mentioned the Broncos who kept it close with the Patriots. And as you said, it was off of a, as you said, pseudo bye week for the Patriots, which that's not something we're accustomed to seeing. I think we could have been looking at Bill Belichick taking a look forward at this 49ers game. And I think that that's really going to show in this game. I think they're going to really be able to shut down this 49ers offense. We know it's really hard to do with George Kittle, but I like this Patriots defense to do it. They've been able to shut down tight ends this year, as we saw Darren Waller. Obviously, George Kittle's a different breed, but I like them to take away what they do best with George Kittle, force some other guys to beat them, which, I mean, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, we'll see what we can get from there. But I like the Patriots offense to have a bounce back week as well. I loved what I saw from Cam those first few weeks of the season. So I expect a bounce back week for the Patriots offense. I like this defense to be able to contain this 49ers offense. And the Patriots have a little bit of a bounce back week here off of that pseudo bye, which I think was kind of wasted in that Broncos game. But I think it's going to show up here against the 49ers. The Patriots win 24-21 in a low scoring game.
Yeah, the negative of that pseudo bye is that they weren't able to practice for about 10 straight days.
Yep.
So yeah, we both agree with New England there. We're going to the Jaguars going to LA to SoFi Stadium to face the Chargers, and I'll take Justin Herbert and his squad to win 27-20. I mean, Justin Herbert has been phenomenal for the Chargers. Some big time throws. Now he's also had some big time mistakes, which is why we saw Anthony Lynn not really trusting him on Monday night in key situations to just let it loose. But on the other side of the ball at quarterback, Doug Marrone had to answer questions about his quarterback, Gardner Minshew, being benched. That is not a good sign. Never want to have the coach even have to answer questions about that. And Minshew hasn't really played as well as he did last year. He still has some decent receiving weapons with DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault, Keelan Cole had a big game last week. But ultimately, I got to take Justin Herbert throwing the ball down the field to Mike Williams, even to Keenan Allen, who was going to come back for this game after missing most of the last week. So I like the Chargers to win by a touchdown.
Yep, I like the Chargers to win by a touchdown as well. 26-19, just bump down both teams one score. And, just like you said it great. Justin Herbert has played very, very well. I've been impressed by him quite a bit. And on the other hand, Gardner Minshew has not. He was one of my favorite guys coming into the season. I liked him more than I think the public liked him because he had some good mobility. He showed me his great D-ball throwing, but he has not been great this season. I think that partly has to do with a lot of the Jaguars' dysfunction, but he does have some decent weapons, and I have not been impressed. But on the other hand, Justin Herbert has played great. Big-time throw machine, as I've said multiple times. And I think that's going to show up here. I don't think the Jaguars are going to be able to keep up with the Chargers' offense whatsoever. And yeah, it's a Chargers team that I think is trending upwards versus a Jaguars team that I think is trending downwards. So I like the Chargers to win here 26-19, and with the Jaguars just not being able to keep up. All right, next we've got the Buccaneers at the Raiders, and I'm taking the Buccaneers here 26-23. And I think this could be a little bit of a sneaky game. I think that we could maybe see an upset here. We know that we saw the Raiders last time they were on the field. They beat the Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the best teams in the NFL. I think this Raiders team is very dangerous. I'm not completely buying into them quite yet. Their defense is very bad, and their offense is fun, but it's against a very good Buccaneers defense. Very good in the secondary, and as well as up front, getting pressure on the quarterback. I think that's going to definitely play a role in this game, as the Buccaneers will be able to get pressure on Derek Carr. So I like this Buccaneers defense to definitely slow down this Raiders offense that has been very good over the past couple weeks. And then you look at the other side of the ball. the Raiders defense is awful, and Brady played a very good game last week against the Packers defense, which is not good either, but I was impressed by this offense. We got to see the utilization of a lot of guys for the Buccaneers. I think it's going to continue here. And I will say, I think off that bye, it could kind of catch the Buccaneers a little bit off guard here, as they just came off a big win against the Packers. But I still like the Buccaneers here, one of the best teams in the NFL, to win 26-23 in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I agree. For the most part, I'm going 28-23 Buccaneers. Okay. You mentioned the play of Tom Brady, and my takeaway was he really didn't have to do all that much against Green Bay. It was mostly about the play of the defense.
Yep.
But I think versus a bad Raiders defense, you could have, more of a light up the stat sheet type of game.
Mm-hmm.
And for the Raiders, Henry Ruggs was a key part of their win 2 weeks ago versus Kansas City. And he really helps open up that offense. Just the threat of him running downfield is going to be very valuable, just like a Tyreek Hill. Now, talking about another receiver, Mike Evans, he was locked down by Jair Alexander last week, but I expect a much bigger game versus, as I mentioned, a weaker Raiders secondary. Now, this Buccaneers defense has been really stout against the run. So I think the Raiders and Josh Jacobs will struggle a little bit more to get that ground game going.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be more on the sleeves. What? That doesn't make sense. It's going to be more on Derek Carr to make plays without a run game. And you mentioned Raiders off of bye. What could Gruden be up to?
Yep.
You never know with that guy. I'll take the Buccaneers to win by 5.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So that's another agreement there. Next, in our Monday night game, we have actually a good game. It's an interesting game, in my opinion. The Bears at the Rams. I would say this is probably the third best game of the week. And the Bears are 5-1. The Rams are 4-2, and I'm picking the Rams to win 27-20. I think the Bears are still a fraudulent 5-1 team. Their defense has been impressive this year. I've liked what I've seen. They've done a good job really on all areas of the field. The Rams defense has been good as well, though, but the Bears offense has not been whatsoever. Nick Foles is good. He's a good quarterback, or not really good, but he's good enough. He's going to make a little more plays than Mitch Trubisky did make through the course of the game, but he doesn't really elevate this offense whatsoever. He's going to miss a lot of throws here and there, and I think he really limits this Bears offense. So I like this Rams offense much more with Jared Goff and Sean McVay. Jared Goff has played very well this season, done a great job operating this McVay offense, which is a lot of play action, but he's done a great job hitting his throws, making plays he needs to play, and even sometimes extending the system beyond what it's supposed to be, which is not something we're used to seeing from Jared Goff. So I like this Rams offense much more. And, the Bears defense is good, but so is the Rams. So is the Rams defense. I expect them to be all over Nick Foles all game. So I like the Bears to win here, move to 5-2. Bears are going to fall to 5-2. We're going to really see the true colors of both these teams.
Yeah, I'm going as well with a low-scoring LA win. I like the Rams 23-20. And 2 years ago, this was a Sunday night game. This year it's a Monday night game. But in that game, the Bears really pressured Jared Goff. Remember, that was the year that the Rams, I believe, went to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And the Bears just shut down this Rams offense. And this game's... Oh, no, it's not in Chicago. Okay, it's in LA, so we're not going to have to worry about cold weather or rainy weather.
Yep.
But this Rams offense didn't put up a lot of points last week versus the 49ers, but there were some key drops by Cooper Kupp especially, and also Robert Woods. So I don't think they're going to drop as many key downfield receptions or touchdowns as they did last week. That game probably should have been a little closer than it was to San Fran. And even though the Bears are, 5-1, which is a little hard to believe, I'll take the Rams to win by 3 on Monday night.
Okay, well, those were all of our picks for Week 7 of the NFL season. We gave you our full analysis on every game. Thanks so much for being on the podcast, Evan.
Yep, anytime. Maybe I'll be back next week unless we get a lot of hate comments.
No, we're not going to be getting a lot of those. You will be back next week. We're going to be doing this every week. So yeah, check us out on Saturday for our best bet. Me and Evan are going to be doing that. And yeah, until next time, peace.